Welcome back, everybody. This video is about playing in time. It's about tempo. And most of all, it's about helping you to feel more relaxed no matter what tempo you're in. So if we go up to like a medium tempo, and maybe you can play along right now, you can play on your tabletop or your lap, or pretend you're playing a shaker with me. And first of all, we're gonna feel what it feels like, just kind of the perception or sensation of playing at different tempos. What happens when we go up to, what's considered to be a medium fast tempo? How do you feel with this, for example? Are you somebody who tenses up a little bit? Does it make you feel nervous at all? What about if we go to what would be considered pretty fast? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that happen often, and I'll be talking about ways that we can mitigate the feeling of tension and help you guys play more relaxed and just sound better and play in the groove, play in the pocket, so your music sounds good, and so you feel good playing it. That's also important. I don't want you guys to be tensing up and feeling like you're working really hard. So I'm going to give you a couple different things you can try. One is conceptual, one's a little more physical, practical, in this video. All right, so that's the aim. We're aiming at playing at a fast tempo, but staying relaxed and staying calm. All right, so here's what we're going to do. First of all, we're going to talk about time for a second. In music terms, time, when we talk about keeping good time, we're really talking about like keeping a steady beat, right? Keeping the tempo. But time has to do also with that idea of tempo and rhythm. And it's been said that rhythm is the element of music that not only provides structure, but it also implies this idea of forward motion, of momentum, of moving from, this point to that point. It's a little bit like, and you could draw a parallel between seconds on a clock, right? 60 beats per minute, 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, that kind of thing. And then days also, of course, most of us, I think everybody, uses this idea of not just the clock time. We can forget about the clock, but we kind of have this idea that days are sequential, right? They happen one after another, which again, I'm going to say is kind of an illusion, because there is, as our friend Eckhart Tolle is fond of reminding us, there is no time, really. There's only the present moment. And so we're going to come back to this idea. I don't want to get too far out, on that idea. We certainly use things like clocks and calendars, and that's all to keep track of events, and it's really to help us coordinate, right? And it's the same in music. We use this idea of tempo, of meter, of beats, to coordinate ourselves. But the fact is, just because it gets light and dark doesn't mean that time is actually happening, in a sequence like that. Time doesn't structure itself in days, all right? We humans created the construct of seconds, minutes, hours, days, months, years. That's all a construct to help structure our lives, to give us some sort of predictability, so we could show up at the restaurant together on the same day at the same time. That's for us, all right? Just like in music, we have this idea of tempo, right? And yes, I'm not saying it's not real. It is real. It is a thing, obviously. But it's also a little bit of an illusion. Because what does it mean when we say, well, this is at a fast tempo, all right? This thing, let's say, well, that's too fast. Hold on. It was like 200 beats a minute. But this is fast, right? Or is it, right? Because nothing's actually moving. right? We're hearing things, and yeah, there's a lot of things happening in succession close to one another. But the fact is, just like there's only one moment in the universe, right? There's only the present moment. That's the only moment that's ever existed and that ever will exist, really. Same thing in music. You know, we don't really have time in that sense. We have implied event. We have events that become closer together, that happen closer in proximity to one another, and we think of that as faster. But really, nothing's moving, right? We're just doing something, you know, with closer together points. All right, so I'm not going to belabor that point, but that's kind of key to understanding how you can relax when you're playing at a faster tempo. And here's what I mean by that. So let's go back to this kind of fast tempo. Let's say, I'm just going to give you the number right now. Let's go to 150, which is fast. It's not crazy fast. It's like rave fast. All right. So one thing we can do to practice is we can slow our shaker, which we would normally play, you know, kind of eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we'd play eighth notes, right? 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 E. We can slow that down, and it kind of gives us that feeling like, oh yeah, I guess it's fast, but is it? Because what I'm doing right now is I'm relating to the tempo in a different way. I'm changing my relationship to the beat, right? Now, so immediately when I go from, right, which could be kind of a tension-producing action. Literally, it does take a certain amount of strength and coordination to do that action. So that's one thing. But that's not really what we're talking about. We're not talking about the physical. We're talking about this kind of psycho-emotional state that we enter into, like, oh my God, this is fast. You know, or thinking, oh my God, it's so fast. So one thing you can do to untrick yourself into thinking that it's so fast is just remember that it all has to do with your relationship to that, whatever else is happening. So if there's elements in the music that are in fact, you know, coming in rapid succession, you can relate to those differently and create a more spacious groove, and thereby give yourself more time to integrate, respond, relate, coordinate, you know, with what's happening. Now let's do the opposite, because I think this is interesting. So this was at 150, right? So let's slow down to 75. Let's go half, right? And we're going to do the same thing, but in reverse. This would be kind of our typical shaker groove, all right? Now let's practice, and this is what I want you guys to do. You can practice doubling this up, double up the shaker. Here we go. And what I want you to do when you do this is to still feel these big beats. Dun, 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 dun. So instead of thinking, you know, dun, 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 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, which would be the faster tempo, we're gonna think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, dun, 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 dun. And maybe go back and forth. You can even break it down. That's way down. Break it way down. And play around with that. So it's like shifting gears. Okay? So that's kind of the idea. Let's review. This is not doesn't have to be a long video. I think you guys have an idea of what you can practice now. So the idea is, first of all, time and beats and tempo are useful constructs and concepts in music because they help us coordinate, but it's an implied feeling, all right, when we say we're going fast, right? Because we're not really going at any particular speed. Everything's happening in the moment, and it's a design. You know, we're designing the music to give the impression of rapid movement, you know, away from the past or into the future, or both. But in fact, it's all the same. It's all the same thing, which is just actions that happen, you know, either closer together or farther apart, you know, with more space in them. So you can practice both ways. You can start at a fast tempo and then go half speed, you know, so you can start here and then maybe slow it down like I did earlier with the beat, right? Play a fast beat and then play slowly to it, or you can play a slower beat and then play more subdivisions. But why those are useful is in the first example, you are shifting your gear down, you know, and thereby taking more control of that relationship, and you're illustrating to yourself that, yeah, it's all this tempo stuff is relative, you know, so I don't have to feel this, you know, like dan, 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 da, 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 da. I don't have to feel that to play with that. I can still play to it, but I can feel something like D, 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 slower, all right? And then the other way around. So you could be playing a slower tempo, beat to beat to beat to beat, da, 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 and then you can divide it. Similarly, you know, you can go up into the da, 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 da. And I just think that gives you more, it gives you more volition, more control, more autonomy in the music. And so what I want you guys to do is just practice working with these concepts. You can do it with a shaker or anything, your voice, hand percussion, body percussion, whatever drums or percussion you're playing, or any instrument. And you're going to explore that on your own, and you're going to find, you know, your edge, your limits, your comfort zone, your uncomfort zone, where those two zones have that little crossover point, and you're going to work in that space. And I think over time, coupled with the idea of just relax, you know, it's not a race. we're not trying to. There's no winning in music, all right? There's no prizes. There's no first or second. It's just whatever you play is what you play. So play around with these ideas. Remember, though, if you start feeling tension, and again, the physical part of it is kind of a different topic, but it does relate. So if you start feeling tension, relax, slow down, shift into a lower gear, breathe, for goodness sake. And then when you feel calm again and you're coming from that relaxed, centered place, then shift it up a gear or whatever it is and try something else so that you can experiment and play with this idea of speed and tempo. Because, again, at the end of the day, this idea of speed or tempo, you know, beats per minute, it's all just an idea, right? We're not actually going any faster or slower, for that matter. Everything's happening now in this moment, and we are the architects, and we get to decide, you know, how we construct the music. But that's up to us, all right? So take control and relax, and just you know, be the music, be any beat you want to be. And I hope this has been helpful. If it has, make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the bell for notifications. I'll see you guys in a future lesson. Thanks for watching.